chan Pamegarahara Nikate Advaita Srini Chatradara Asiyache Gaura Chan Ratna Simasane Arati Karena Brahma Adi Devagane Narari Hari Kari Chamaradulaya Sanjayama Kundavasu Gosharigaya Sankha Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Madhuramedanga Bhaje Paramarasala Sankha Bhaje Ganda Bhaje Madhur Madhur Madhura Bhaje Sankha Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur Madhur Madhura Bhaje Madhura 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 Bhaje Madhura 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 Bhaje Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Paukoti Chandajini Bandana Ujvala Kala Deshe Vanamala Kore Jalamala Shiva Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda Radhe. Jaya Panchatapa Jaya, Panchatapa Jaya, Panchatapa Jaya, Panchatapa. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nita Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Shri Gaunitai ki, Shri Panchatattva ki, Hare Nam Sankirtan Yagya ki, Gaura Premanande, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parivarjaka Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad Shri His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parivarjaka Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Antakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा की श्री श्री राधा कृष्णा गोपा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की नवदीप धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की हरि नाम संकीर्तन की सामवेद भक्त वृंदा की all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shiladhankana Kalaye. Ito Narsimho Parato Narsimho. Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimho. Bahi Narsimho Hridaye Narsimho. Narsimha Madhim Sharanam Prapadye. Avakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadvita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jaya केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की प्रहलाद महाराज की निताय गौर प्रेमानंद श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी Bol everyone. Welcome to this Friday evening Bhagavad Gita class. It's so nice to see all of you come because it's so cold outside that I think a lot of people are not coming in today, so it's very, very nice that you're all here. I hope I can deliver nicely as well for all of you. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivan Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Tamsja He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are going to do the verse 42 of the third chapter. Has everyone got it? Indriyani paraneho Indriyayebhya param mana Manastu para buddhi Yo buddhe paratastu sa Indriyani parane ahur Indriyebhya param mana Manasastu para buddhir Yo buddhe parasta tu sa Mataji?
Indriyani pranayahu
Indriyani pranayahu
Indriyabhyeha param manaha
Indriyabhyeha param manaha
Manasastu param buddhi
Manasastu Indriyani, senses, parani, superior, ahu, are said, indriyebhya, more than the senses, param, superior, manaha, the mind, manasa, more than the mind, tu, also, para, superior, buddhi, intelligence, ya, who, buddhe, more than the intelligence, parata, superior, tu, but, sa, he. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Neelam, will you read the purport?
The senses are different outlets for the activities of lust. Lust is reserved within the body, but it is given vent through the senses. Therefore, the senses are superior to the body as a whole. These outlets are not in use when there is superior consciousness or Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, the soul makes direct connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the hierarchy of bodily function, as described here, ultimately ends in the Supreme Soul. Bodily action means the function of the senses, and stopping the senses means stopping all bodily actions. But since the mind is active, then even though the body may be silent and at rest, the mind will act, as it does during dreaming. But above the mind is the determination of the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul proper. If therefore the soul is directly engaged with the Supreme, naturally all other subordinates, namely the intelligence, mind, and senses, will be automatically engaged. In the Katha Upanishad, there is similar passage in which it is said that the objects of sense gratifications are superior to the senses, and mind is superior to the sense objects. If therefore the mind is directly engaged in the service of the Lord constantly, then there is no chance that the senses will become engaged in other ways. This mental attitude has already been explained. Param Drishtava Nivarte. If the mind is engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is no chance of its being engaged in the lower propensities. In the Katha Upanishad, the soul has been described as Mahan, the great. Therefore, the soul is above all, namely the sense objects, the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. Therefore, directly understanding the constitutional position of the soul is the solution of the whole problem. For the intelligence, one has to seek out the constitutional position of the soul and then engage the mind always in Krishna consciousness. That solves the whole problem. A neophyte spiritualist is generally advised to keep aloof from the object of the senses. But aside from that, one has to strengthen the mind by use of intelligence. If by intelligence one engages one's mind in Krishna consciousness, by complete surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then automatically the mind becomes stronger, and even though the senses are very strong, like serpents, they will be no more effective than serpents with broken fangs. But even though the soul is the master of intelligence and mind, and the senses also, still unless it is strengthened by association with Krishna in Krishna consciousness, there is every chance of falling down due to the agitated mind.
So this chapter, Karma Yoga, it's obviously divided in parts, and the last section of this chapter is actually talking about how to beware of lust and anger, because they foil your performance of duty and you incur sin. So it's talking about, this last chapter is talking about how to regulate your senses and strengthen your intelligence to control lust. So what is perfect knowledge? What does anyone want to comment on that? What is perfect knowledge in relation to obviously what we are just reading?
Knowledge of one's constitutional position.
Correct. Perfect. That is perfect knowledge. When we are aware of our constitutional position. Would you like to say what is our constitutional position?
To serve Krishna eternally.
Perfect. Our constitutional position is that of a servant. So when we are aware of our constitutional position, then we don't have any problems. These problems are only arising because we are unaware of the fact that we are servant of God. Now, somebody could argue, why should I be the servant of God? I'm not a servant of God. I'm doing very well in my life and I do what I want. I'm not a servant of God. But he still is. He's either serving his wife, or he's serving the husband, or serving the children, or serving family members, or serving a company, or whatever. You're serving somebody, or serving a dog, or your pets, or your old parents, but you're serving somebody or the other. You are not serving. And each and every one of us is a servant. There is only one master, and that master is the Lord. Lord Shri Krishna is the only master. Every single other person is a servant. Anyone who says, I'm not a servant, is a fool. Anyone who says, I don't want to be a servant, he's also envious. Because it is through his enviousness of, I am as superior as God, that he falls down. I mean, the perfect example is also Ravan, who was envious of Lord Vishnu. So he was going to do everything it takes, but he's going to meditate to get the power so he could defeat Vishnu. So he wasn't God. He needed to meditate on the Lord's name or get power so that he could trick one way or the other. He was using his intelligence in the wrong way. So he had forgotten his constitutional position that he is a servant of the Lord. And we all know all the problems that for being such an intelligent person, such a learned person, he did so much tapasya, he fell down from grace because he had forgotten his constitutional position of being a servant. We all know also that everything in this world is influenced by the modes of nature. Everything. So we have to transcend these modes and connect to the Lord through service, through being conscious of him, so Krishna consciousness, and then at that point we transcend these modes. So there's an example given in what is it, Bhagavad Gita 2 point, 1 second. In 2.45 it says, the translation, the Vedas deal mainly with the subject of three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. So he is telling Arjuna at the time of the battle here that no, you have to fight, because Arjuna wanted to
be situated in the mode of goodness, when he's saying, I don't want to kill anyone, I would rather beg. I would rather, when you're begging, you're not like a beggar in the street. You're basically, like a brahmana is begging. So a brahmana is going to go door to door and beg. So he would rather do that, but that's not his duty. His duty is that of a kshatriya, and he has to fight. So the Lord is saying, no, don't do that. You are supposed to do your duty of a kshatriya, and so you don't have to be in the mode of goodness. You have to transcend this mode of goodness, and when you have taken the word of the Lord, so you've taken the shelter of the Lord, and when you are listening to the Bhagavad Gita and you're following its principles, again you have taken the shelter of the Lord, and at that point you have transcended the three modes, all three, goodness, passion, ignorance, all three, and you have come to pure goodness, and you are now a devotee of the Lord, and at that point you are not being influenced by the three modes. So there are different degrees of, as we go through this passage, if I go through, it says that the working senses are superior to dull matter. So it's saying, you're comparing the whole body. Compared to the whole body, the senses are quite powerful, right? So when we are our eyes, we are engaging our eyes in watching television, and our mind is saying there's a very scary scene, and our mind is saying don't watch it, so it automatically closes. It's scared and it closes because it's a scary scene. So the eyes are not independent. They are acting at the command of the mind. Now the mind is also not independent. Higher than the mind is intelligence. Now the intelligence is going to say to the mind, it's very late, you have an exam tomorrow, actually you should just turn the TV off and go to bed. Now you're listening, the mind is listening to the intelligence, and it's going to not watch the TV, it's going to go to bed at the right time. Now, even the intelligence, above the intelligence, as it says, intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Now, when the soul is engaged in fully serving Krishna, the intelligence doesn't have to put any effort to control the mind. And the mind is silent because the soul is now fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. That's what it's saying. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So therefore, directly understanding the constitutional position of the soul is a solution to this problem that we have of our mind not in our control, our intelligence not in our control, and so usually you'll say that someone who is a neophyte spiritualist, as it's mentioned there. So when you first come to the temple and you are quite new to Krishna consciousness, you are you're advised generally, you follow a process. That process is not just for a neophyte person. I would say even when you are being, chanting for 16 rounds for maybe however many years, and reading scripture daily, doing everything by the book, following all the rules, even then It is a process. So to control the mind, to control the intelligence, to rise above all of them, you need to have a very disciplined life of following the process. So when you are constantly in the association of devotees, when you are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord and with devotees who are encouraging you to be in that service, you are actually going to be in that position where we strive to be, where we are not now going to be influenced by the mind, the intelligence, the senses. So the senses can't be controlled, because even if we go to sleep, we are dreaming. So we are so active. So when we have this always action, it's very difficult to then control the mind. So at that stage, how do we control the mind? So when we have surrendered to the Lord, it says, by complete surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then automatically the mind becomes stronger. Even though the senses are very strong, like serpents, they will be no more effective than serpents with broken fangs. So this discipline that we have, it is very important to have that, so that the serpents of our mind and intelligence that are going to take us into a degraded place if we don't follow the rules, then they are strengthened by our sadhana. They are strengthened by us following the process and being in good association, being in Krishna consciousness, surrendering to the Lord that He will take care. And at that point, this is at the end, it says, this is like a word of caution. Krishna unless it is strengthened by association with Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, there is every chance of falling down due to the agitated mind, because the mind is like a spoiled child who cannot be controlled. It's very difficult to control. So forget trying to control the mind with intelligence. Yes, with intelligence, but the intelligence, so that we are connected to the Lord, spiritual intelligence, so we are connected to the Lord, and at that point we are safe. Because otherwise, as it says in the following verse, and as talked about in the previous verse, that this lust is a very difficult thing to conquer, and lust is everywhere. There's a good example that I read up, which says that lust, where lust is compared to smoke. It says, when you are only when you're a human being, at that point you have this opportunity where lust is compared to smoke, that you can't see the fire when there is smoke, but you can, if you fan it with Krishna consciousness, then it will become a big fire. And so in the human opportunity, in the human birth, we are given this opportunity that let's fan it with chanting, with regular japa, with meeting devotees who will encourage the path. That is a big message in this verse, that lust is very difficult to overcome. It can only be overcome by strengthening our sadhana, by regular chanting and surrendering to the Lord. He can help us to come out of this. When we are actually chanting, we are cleansing our mind, which again, there's another example, analogy is that it is like the mind is like a mirror, and when we are chanting, it is being cleansed. Or there's another analogy of how when you're a baby in the mother's womb, and at that time you're in such a difficult situation, that is compared to, say, the lives of a tree. That tree is in a very difficult situation because the tree is in such an awkward position, and look at the weather outside. The trees cannot can't move, and so they are just there to take all the what the elements are giving it. You can't, even if someone comes and cuts it, it cannot say or do anything. Because, and it's compared to how when we are in the womb of a mother, we are in a very awkward position. It's like a good analogy to compare. But actually, we have such a good position when we are a human being. It is the only opportunity we have is if we can get out of this cycle of birth and death and go back to Godhead. And that is only possible when we take shelter of the Lord, when we are not agitated, when we connect ourselves to Krishna, when we surrender to His will, when we actually see what is our constitutional position and become the servant of the Lord. Do you want to help me with anything? Anybody?
It's all relevant. Maybe I'll give a bit of commentary on the impact of staying in the mode of goodness and why it's necessary to transcend.
It's necessary to transcend because
I
it is.
think just to add to the question a little bit, it's for everyone really. There's a lot of people are of the opinion that what's wrong with just being a good person. I don't trouble anyone. I just do my bit. I earn my money and I'm eating my food without bothering anybody. I do enough charity. So what's wrong with just being a good person? I'm not necessarily causing anybody any suffering. So why is it necessary to step out of the mode of goodness also? Whereas the mode of goodness seems to be the one thing that everybody's trying to vie for in this material world.
Because even when you're in the mode of goodness, even if you are being a good person, you are going to have to come back. And you're missing this opportunity of getting out. So, Padma, did you wanted to say something? Oh, I thought you put your hand up there. So, it is important to use the human opportunity is only useful if we have actually taken it to go back to God. So, when we are not using it for that purpose, then we wasted the opportunity. It's like everybody's going to serve somebody or the other, so why not serve the Lord? Because when we are serving the Lord, we are actually out of the mode of goodness too, because we've come in His service. So it is so easy actually to be in His service. You could be in His service in the temple, you could be in His service in your home. I find personally myself, the easiest way to serve the Lord is actually, however foolish it may sound to anyone, I love to keep my house clean. I actually think, I look at my house and I think this is the Lord's palace. And I think, well, I want every bit of this to be clean. So be it the back door was mucky because somebody put finger marks on it, or my front door, the porch, has leaves that have flown in. I feel this is the Lord's house. And so I want to keep it clean. So when I'm doing it with that attitude, I hope that I'm just serving the Lord. I don't want anywhere in the house, doesn't matter which guest comes, I want my house to be spotless. When anybody comes to stay, I want them to feel that they came into a home where they could feel the energy of the Lord. I take pride in that, and I feel like I hope that this is all service to the Lord. So I find it quite easy to do it at home because it's difficult as you get older, and I find myself difficult to get out sometimes, and I find that how do I serve the Lord? So I find serving in my home, serving my deities, making nice food for them, being engaged in literally cleaning my house. I like it so that anybody walks in, any festival, it's all ready, the altar's ready, the flowers are there, the deities have been fed, there's prasadam every day, doesn't matter who comes, there's prasadam for somebody or the other. I find that is service. It's sometimes hard to get out. So whichever situation you're in, you can find how to serve the Lord, however it fits and suits your life. I struggle to come for morning Mangal Arati, but the day I do that, I try and do the Mangal Arati for myself at home, because it's easier for me to wake up in the morning and be at home and do a Mangalarti. But if I have to come to the temple, it means another 2 hours earlier. So it's not always, everybody has a different situation in life. So you just have to see what fits yours. But your children, you bring up your children, they're a service to the Lord. I don't know where I read this, but it said, I think it's in the verse before, actually, in 340, the last bit says, a human being who identifies this body made of 3 elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsman, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath, rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered an ass or cow. To be honest, it kind of sums up your answer in a different way. Because someone who's just, I only love my children, not everybody's. I only want my sister, not anybody else. I only care for Indian people, not white people. Or I only like Chinese people. Or I think I'm actually Indian and I'm not. I'm actually a spirit soul. So when I'm identifying myself only with being Indian, or only with being Chinese, or only being of a particular nationality, and that country is my country and I feel very nationalistic about it, actually I've missed the point, because that is not the case. The land of birth is not worshipable. So India is not worshipable to me because I am born in India, but India is a worshipable place because the Lord took birth there so many times. So India is a holy land where the Lord came however many times. So that's why it's worshipable. And to go to the place of pilgrimage just because you want to have a bath, no, maybe even the dust in that land is worshipable because the Lord walked there. And how many devotees have walked there? And when you meet these people over there, when you meet devotees in Mayapur or Vrindavan, that is the privilege that if you go to Mayapur, you go in the morning for Mangalarti, and the amount of sannyasis you meet over there, it is just such an amazing feeling, and the energy in that room is so amazing that just being present there, you're being blessed. You're actually so fortunate that you're there. So it is important to remember your position. Your constitutional position is that of a servant, that we are all the children of the Lord, that there is no difference in anyone. We can't put the difference. If we are, then we are lacking in our there's something lacking in our understanding. Of course, it doesn't mean that, of course I will say my children these are my children. You live in the society in a certain way. But from my heart, I must have that love for everybody. Because unless I have that love developing in my heart for anybody, that means my sadhana is actually not great. It means what I'm reading, I'm actually not able to practice properly.
Thank you.
Anyone else wants to say?
I think I was just going to add that it's all good for this sort of explanation or discussion to have with devotees who already have a level of surrender, but it can be difficult to have this kind of a chat with someone who doesn't understand the concept of God creator. Just a thought, it's not a question.
Sure, but then everybody is at a different level, and we can't look down on people who have not come to that level of understanding. And for them, you just talk to them, and whatever goes in, and whatever doesn't, it doesn't matter. You've done your bit of introducing just the holy name to them, or give them some prasadam if they don't even want to hear the holy name. I mean, they hear it, it's gone in. So everybody's at a different level. Here we are talking about how to be aware of lust, and how to actually surrender to the Lord. And to surrender to the Lord is a process. So it's there, how to surrender to the Lord. So if you become engaged in every way to serve the Lord, and at that point you are serving the Lord, you have actually transcended the 3 modes. Anybody else wants a question or?
When you attain pure goodness, is it difficult or more difficult to fluctuate between the different modes? Because obviously when you're in goodness, you're susceptible to fluctuating between them. But is it a special difference when you're in pure goodness?
So when you're in pure goodness, you can, if you don't keep your discipline, also fall down. Because it's not something that once you come to pure goodness, that yes, you're there. If you continue with what you're doing, then it's great. You stop doing it, it's like, I would give a very material example. You know, a child has studied so hard for his exams, he's going to do alright, even if he didn't do something one day. But if he decides, alright, I'm so great at school, and I have studied so hard, now I don't need to study anymore. So he may pass 1 year, but in the end, when it comes to getting the final degree, he will have gone down in his work so much that he will fail to get the grade that he actually wanted. Similarly, you can, of course, the Lord keeps encouraging us. And someone who is like not at all Krishna conscious, not at all God conscious, a criminal even, and he comes and starts this process of Krishna consciousness later in his stage. He's already 55, 60, and he's decided now that I would like to be connected to the Lord and I would like to. If he follows the process, it's like science. He follows the process and surrenders to the Lord, even at a late stage in life, he can come out of this cycle and be in the state of pure goodness, be connected to the Lord. And you could be connected to the Lord even at a young age, but for some reason, if you become laxed about your discipline, you can fall down. So you may have had the advantage of being a child, born in a family where everything is quite taken for granted, it's normal, you know how to do all your prayers, you can do everything right, you go regularly to the temple, you chant your rounds, but then suddenly your life became such, you start missing them, and then before you know it, that spiritual strength that you get from your chanting, it stops to give you that strength, and you make mistakes and you fall down. Anyone else?
I'm just going to say one more thing. This hierarchy of the senses, the mind, the intelligence, and the soul. Do you think this can also correlate to like the happiness we get from each one? So the happiness we get from the senses and dull matter, like sense gratification, is of the lowest soul, but as we get happiness in our mind and intelligence, it
Yes.
gradually gets better, and then the soul obviously is
Yes.
working true happiness.
Yes.
Yeah, like the summary is here, like senses are like, if you think of a chariot, okay, 5 senses are like 5 horses, okay, the mind is the rein, intelligence is the driver, soul is the passenger. So if the horses go on their own, each horse pulls you in a different direction, the chariot won't go properly. So senses should be controlled by mind, and mind should be controlled by intelligence, and intelligence should be controlled by soul.
Perfect.
So this is how Prabhupada explained. There is a picture I will get here.
Like, so really like from Shrigo.
This is how it's explained.
That's excellent, Ramji.
Yes, that's what I thought the point was, to be
So the soul should be always in control.
the master.
Yes. Because when the soul is fully absorbed in Krishna, the mind is silent. The intelligence doesn't have to control or rein the mind, and everything is in order, and that's when we are actually beyond the modes. We don't even realize how much these modes affect us. People behave in a certain way because of the way the modes are affecting us, in every little tiny way. It's out of our control. They are so powerful When you study the whole Bhagavad Gita, you realize the modes are everywhere. 3 modes are controlling everything.
Do you think that's why it's necessary to transcend to pure goodness as well, to be aware of these modes as well?
We start realizing more and more as we go higher in the modes as to how much effect they have on us. From someone who is an alcoholic, he's in the mode of ignorance. He doesn't think so, but he is. But when he transcends that and comes to maybe, say, the mode of passion or even goodness, he realizes at that point, wow, what was I like? But at that time, if you tell him you're in the mode of ignorance, he's going to say, get lost. So I would say this whole verse could be summarized by the first words of the translation. Says, senses are superior to dull matter, mind is higher than the senses, intelligence is still higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So by understanding the constitutional position of the soul is the solution to the whole problem, and stopping bodily action is not the cure, but by intelligence and completely surrendering to the Lord. By intelligence, we have to strengthen the mind by the use of the intelligence, and then we completely surrender to the Lord. And then the mind becomes stronger, even though the senses are very strong, like serpents. As it says in the end, they will be no more effective than serpents with broken fangs. Even though the soul is a master of intelligence and mind and the senses also, unless it is strengthened by association with Krishna in Krishna consciousness. So association with devotees and association with the Lord is paramount. That is the process. And that is the caution in the end, because otherwise there is every chance of falling down due to the agitated mind. We can't control the mind any other way but. And yeah, somebody can turn around and say, well, I don't want to chant, I'm fine, I'm calm, I'm relaxed. Chill, man. Why are you after my life? That's exactly what someone may turn around and say. Well, they're so lost, it's hard to explain. So yes, sometimes it's not easy to preach to non-devotees, but we can only try. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? I think it's time. Thank you very much for being such a great class, and thank you very much for bearing with me. I do get confused. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anybody's giving any announcement?
Hare Krishna. So hope you enjoyed the lecture. So always remember, whenever we hear the lecture, please meditate at least 3 take-home points. Okay? So that you can explain to your family members, your friends. Yeah? Or if next time whoever speaker speaks, if they ask you, you should be able to reply. In the last class I heard these are the 3 take-home message points. Like that. Once you go home, maybe tomorrow, whenever you are having some dinner or lunch with your friends, okay, always have a conversation on these points.
Maybe they can tell you, Prabhuji, what you think they've got.
Exactly, I am about to ask. Just tell me three points. We have still 5 more minutes, so that's why I am asking. Okay, from today's Mataji's class, 3 points.
First is our constitutional position.
Very good. Our constitutional position. What is our constitutional position?
To serve the Lord.
Servant of the Lord. Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
We are spirit, so we are not this body.
Okay, we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. Good. Any other point? Servant of the Lord means God. Any other point?
Senses can't be stopped, just redirected to Krishna.
Exactly. Yeah, so controlling senses means redirecting towards Krishna. Okay, not fully stop senses. Okay, we don't detach. Okay, we don't unattach. Okay, or attach to Krishna. Okay, so thank you very much. So you all heard very attentively. Very nice. So day after tomorrow, Sunday, Sunday feast class is given by His Holiness Dayananda Maharaj. Okay, please don't miss. Okay, it will be a wonderful class again. Okay, hear the class and meditate upon at least 3 points. Okay, and then not tomorrow, I think 7th of March, first Saturday. So we have morning Mangalarti program. Okay, every month first Saturday we gather in the Mangalarti program in the morning. So program starts morning at 5 o'clock. Okay, so Mangalarti, Tulasi Puja, and we chant till 7:30. DT greetings, Guru Puja, and then Bhagavatam class. Nataraj Prabhu has introduced the topic of 12 Mahajans. So far we have discussed Lord Brahma and Bhishma Dev. So there will be another Mahajan we are going to discuss. So 7th March, first Saturday. Okay, don't miss morning Mangalarti program. And what is our next major festival and when is it?
9th March.
9th March. What is the festival, Mataji? Gaura. Okay. So 9th March, Monday. Okay. Evening. So the program starts at 6 o'clock. We are celebrating in Jain temple. Okay. You all know the address. Okay. So don't miss. We already announced about the volunteers to help. Mostly since it came on Monday, Sunday evening we will do some sort of loading into the van, something. And again Monday evening here and at the venue after the program. So we need some volunteers. Some volunteers have already given their names. Okay. Also I request you encourage your friends, family members and bring them to the festival. Okay. So that's the first major festival of the year. Okay. So that's it. So thank you very much once again. So Prabhu, Prashadam Prayers. Anyone who came first time, new people, are coming after a very long time? No? Okay. Right.
Mahaprasade Govinde